Jimmy, thanks for coming on. And he also, on top of all that, had a horrible table saw accident.
Yep. I was using my table saw. I had to put a rabbet on the end of a bullnose. It was a 1x3. And as I was preparing, adjusting the blade up into the wood, stupid move, the wood broke free and shot through the saw blade. The wood shot into my forearm that was on the adjustment knob, and I leaned forward and I threw my hand right on top of the blade, and it sucked my hand.
What did that, is it like a forceful or was it a slicing thing? What did it feel like?
It was just like, I felt like if you've ever hit your hand against the buffing wheel, for instance, you feel like your hand get jerked like that. But on the saw blade, it pulled it in and like pulled it down like that. And I knew something had happened. But I was still, my attention was all on this blasted forearm. And when I looked over, I saw my pinky lying in my palm.
Oh my God. So functionality now?
I spent a few days in the hospital. They sewed it back together. It doesn't really work past the cut.
Whoa. Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool.
Some of you have probably noticed the SawStop logo on the blade that I'm using, but I have obviously disengaged the SawStop feature. So this is what would happen with your dad's old Craftsman table saw, that job site table saw. Anything other than a SawStop will completely rip through your hand in just a split second. It is completely terrifying, and I do think this is probably the most dangerous tool in the shop.
That
escalated quickly.
Yeah. That was way gnarlier than I expected. I thought it was just going to slice straight through, and it really just like...
No, it made sure it got all the fingers.
Yeah. Jeez. That's a lot of damage.
That is a lot of damage. I mean, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And do you see any fingers anywhere?
I don't even know. No, they're outside. There's one on the ground.
Oh, there are.
It just looks like a popsicle.
All right, so we might be able to sew this back on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't shred the fingers. It severed them.
Yeah, I don't know where they went. They're probably like underneath the truck or something.
That's nuts.
Do you have a lesson? Do you have a moral of the story from it?
Yeah, use safety tactics. I used none of them, and since then, that's all I use. It was a hard lesson learned, and if I can impart any wisdom on everybody else.
Well, I'm sorry you had to learn it, but hopefully I can avoid a similar situation. And I appreciate you telling the story, Jimmy. Where can people find you?
Anyway, I just Googled me, Jimmy DiResta. That's all my socials is my name.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Jimmy.
Thank you, brother.
Some of you already know that my job prior to being a woodworking YouTuber was a life flight pilot. I used to fly the ambulance helicopters, and one of the very first flights I ever took was to pick up a guy who had fallen onto a running table saw, landing on his forearm when his dog had jumped up onto him. And you can see here just how terrifying that must have been for that guy. And as a bonus part to this video, if you want to convince your significant other why you need a SawStop, show them this footage and tell them the cost of one ambulance ride or one ER visit. And this is definitely not sponsored. I guarantee SawStop will be horrified when they see what I did with this table saw.
What the F?
Speaking of SawStop, like I said earlier, I disengaged the SawStop feature for all of these tests, except for this one. On this one, I forgot to turn off that SawStop feature, and while the ballistics gel isn't conductive and won't trigger the SawStop feature, the wire that holds the bone together will. So this cut right through that ballistics gel, hit that wire, triggered the SawStop feature, cost me a new blade and a new cartridge.